Hello, Upper Coaches. It's Matt again, and this is going to be our last devotion of the season. I want to thank you guys for the work that you've done this year in serving the players and the families and sharing the gospel of Jesus through the sport of basketball. And as we come to the close of our season, I just kind of want to tie everything together and reflect again on what we've discussed throughout the year. And we've been talking about our themes this season are the fruits of the Spirit, more specifically the fruits of faithfulness and self-control and joy. And throughout the year, I've tried to point out how Christ perfectly embodies these fruits and how really it is the essence of the gospel. When you think about it, God had a plan from the very beginning. Remember, our coach's manual says that faithfulness, or as commitment as they call it, is making a plan and sticking to it, making a plan and following through. And God had a plan from the very beginning that he was going to redeem all of creation through his Son. And he was faithful to it. From Adam all the way through to Jesus and all the way through to Revelation, he has continued to work out that plan. And Jesus is the perfect embodiment of that faithfulness, that he came and he lived a perfect sinless life. He didn't turn to the left or to the right. He didn't give in to the frustrations of dealing with sinful men. In fact, he could have at any point given up on this plan, yet he stuck to it, even being faithful to the point of death. That he was willing to sacrifice himself for us. But then you look at self-control, and you look at how he said in the garden, when he's praying, he's wrestling with this: Father, if there's any other way that you can fulfill this plan, if there's any other way that we can do this apart from the cross, Lord, take this cup from me. But Lord, not my will. Father, not my will, yours be done. That's the essence of self-control, that it's setting aside my will, my wants, my desires for his will, his desires, his wants. It's setting aside what I feel like I need, what I feel like I want or need to have in order to live, so that I can serve others' needs, so that I can put others before myself. That's the essence of self-control. And Jesus, when he was getting ready to go to the cross, he tells his disciples, look, I can call down 10,000 angels right now if I wanted to. At any given point, he could have said, enough is enough. I'm going to take this kingdom by force. I'm going to make myself king. But he didn't do that. He surrendered himself. He submitted himself fully, completely. He exercised complete self-control over his spirit, over his mouth, over his actions, everything. He submitted himself. In fact, he in another place said that he did nothing except what he saw the Father doing. That there was nothing that he said, nothing that he did, that he didn't see first in his Father. And that's, again, the essence of self-control, is that I am choosing to control self for the sake of his will and for the sake of others around me. And then lastly, joy. I've heard all these different reasons of why Jesus went to the cross, but the reality is Scripture says that it was for the joy set before him. He kept the right mindset and perspective throughout, even when he's being beaten, even when he is being nailed to the cross, and he knows death is coming, and he's going through all this pain, and he's going through all this suffering, and he's going through it at the hands of people who really, they deserve to be the ones on the cross. It wasn't I heard a song recently that by Jeremy Camp, and he's in the song, he's saying, it should have been me with my arms wide open. It should have been me on that cross. That's the reality, is the very people who are nailing Jesus to the cross are the ones who should be on it themselves. And yet Jesus, because of the joy, because of the knowledge, knowing that, yes, this is all going to work out for good. This is right. This is God's plan. And it's going to bring about transformation. It's going to bring about reconciliation of all of creation, of everything. That is the joy that he had. That he could continue to persevere knowing what was on the other side. Even though he knew death was coming, but he knew death was not the end. You see, we get caught up in life and we get stuck in things and we get in the midst of it all and we begin to focus on the stuff and we focus on the things that we're going through, and we miss the long-term picture. We miss what God is actually trying to do. And we miss what Paul says, is that we need to count it all joy when we go through various trials and tribulations and struggles and strife. We need to count it all joy because we know that ultimately these are going to produce good things. They're going to produce patience. They're going to produce righteousness. They're going to produce faithfulness. They're going to produce self-control. It's all of it is God working out his plan through us. And when we look at what God has done from Genesis to Revelation, and we look at what God is still doing in the earth today, we see how Jesus is that perfect plan. Jesus is God being faithful and committed. Jesus is God exercising his self-control. Instead of wiping us out when he could have, instead of obliterating us all, even though we deserved it, he exercised self-control. He put aside the offenses and paid the price that we might have life. And he did it because of the joy of knowing that he would overcome death, of knowing that he would defeat all of the enemies and reconcile us to himself. As we go forward from here and as we go beyond the season, I want to encourage you guys. Don't let this season be just another program that we've run through. Don't let this season end here. Don't let these things become just something that we talk about, but let it be who you are, who we are as followers of Christ, that these things would mark us, that we would be like our faithful high priest, that we would be self-controlled, submitting ourselves fully to his will, pursuing him completely, no matter the cost, and doing it because of the joy set before us. The joy of knowing that we have salvation, the joy of knowing that there is a greater reward than any job, any money, anything on this earth, that there's a greater reward that we will have, and it comes after death. It comes as we walk through the same valley that Jesus did, because we know we'll go through it because he's already been through it. He showed us. He prepared the way and he set the way. Guys, I want to leave you here with one just last encouragement, and that is this. You have been blessed this season with an opportunity to speak into the lives of 411 kids and their families. You have been blessed with an opportunity this season to impart to them the gospel and the truth, and to be able to, for some of them, start them on a journey of following Christ and pursuing him. But just because the season's done, don't lay aside that opportunity. You have an inroad. You have open doors now to continue building relationship, to continue that discipleship process But that's your choice. It's whether you stop now or you continue these relationships that you've formed. You continue to speak into the lives of these kids and their families, and you continue to pray over them. You continue to impart Christ to them. I want to encourage you to take that step and go for it. It's not by accident that you are here. It's not by accident that the kids who are on your teams were selected to your teams. In everything that went into it, I believe fully that God had a plan and a purpose for you participating this season and for you having the kids and the players on your team that you've had. So I want to encourage you to keep that in mind as we walk forward, that you would be faithful, that you would exercise self-control, and that you would keep that joy in your heart and your mind. So blessings, guys. Thank you again for this year, and I look forward to seeing you over the weekend.